What comes to your mind when you hear the word Titanic? Is it the cries of the babies aboard, the shouts of the ladies, the fierce command of the males trying to save the females and children, the legendary musicians who sacrificed their lives trying to calm the people with their soothing music, or the affection between Jack and Rose? Oh, wait a minute. We aren't doing a movie recap here. We want to take you back to the 1900s, so relax and take a seat as we uncover the famous mystery and social classes on the famous RMS Titanic. Before we get into the details, kindly give the video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more premium content. Now, let's spill some tea. The Titanic, or the Royal Mail Ship, was a British passenger liner that sank in the North Atlantic Ocean on the 15th of April 1912 at exactly 2:20 a.m. after hitting an iceberg during her maiden voyage. One popular contradiction amongst the people is that the Titanic sank in the Pacific Ocean. But here you have it, the Titanic sank in the Atlantic Ocean. During the Titanic's maiden voyage from Southampton to New York City, the ship housed over 2,000 passengers and crew, and over 1,500 lost their lives in the tragedy. The Titanic remains one of the deadliest sinkings of a single ship, and it remains the deadliest peacetime sinking of a cruise ship. Losing over 1,500 lives means the disaster will draw public attention, and the DAD event inspired many artistic works and film genres. As of 1912, the Titanic was the largest ship afloat, and the second of 3 Olympic-class ocean liners operated by the White Star Line. The Titanic was built by the Holland and Wolff shipyard in Belfast and carried some of the wealthiest people in the world alongside emigrants from Ireland, Great Britain, and Scandinavia seeking green pastures. RMS Titanic, just like other world-class ships, was designed with luxury in mind. She boasts a swimming pool, gymnasium, 5-star restaurants, smoking rooms, Turkish baths, and luxury cabins. The ship's features are nothing compared to the high-end technology added to it to minimize tragedies. She features a high-powered radio telegraph transmitter for sending passengers and the ship's operational use. The ship was built with optimum safety in mind, as it has advanced safety features, such as watertight compartments and remotely activated watertight doors, hence it was tagged unsinkable. On her maiden voyage, the Titanic was equipped with 16 lifeboat davits, each capable of lowering 3 lifeboats for 48 boats. Together, the lifeboats could hold around 1,000 to 100 people, about half the number of passengers on board, and 1/3 of the number of passengers the ship could have carried at full capacity. Titanic's builders put extra effort into making the ship the best, yet the unsinkable sank. Why? One of the mysteries behind the sinking of the Titanic is that it beats the imagination of many engineers how an iceberg sank a ship built with the best materials and technical design. Immediately after the tragedy, investigations began, and 2 inquiries from the United States of America and the British Board of Trade were set up. The investigation team, led by Senator William Alden Smith and Lord Mersey, interrogated the survivors who narrated their ordeals in the cold ocean. The investigation took more than a few months and revealed that many of the safety measures and regulations of the International Maritime were outdated and required a second look. Also, the Titanic herself was found short on standards. The social class on board. Titanic's passenger list, like other high-end ships, reflected a wide class divide. Of over 1,296 passengers on board, 319 were labeled as first class, 269 were termed second class, and the rest were called third class, or steerage. The investigation set up by the United States and British Board of Trade revealed that of the 319 first-class passengers, 200 survived, and of the 269 second-class passengers, 117 survived. Only 172 of the third-class passengers survived, while 215 of 918 of the crew and staff survived the tragedy. As you would imagine, the first-class passengers included high-ranking military members, wealthy businessmen, professional athletes, and famous entertainers. Among the second-class numbers were professors, authors, tourists, and clergymen, while the majority of the third-class passengers were immigrants on a quest for a better life. We are halfway through, guys, and there are more details to come, so stick around. If you are enjoying the video, kindly hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you are yet to do so. John Jacob Astor. On the list of prominent people on the ship, John Jacob Astor IV, a millionaire in the family of a rich businessman, tops the list. He and his wife were returning to the United States for the birth of their first child. John Jacob was a business magnate who was into real estate, investment, writing, and also a lieutenant colonel in the Spanish-American War. Although he died in the sinking of the ship, he left behind a net worth of over $87 million, which is equivalent to over $3 billion. Joseph Bruce is a May. Joseph was an English businessman who was the chairman and managing director of the White Star Line. To clear your doubts, White Star is one of the two companies that built the RMS Titanic, and Joseph came into the limelight as the only high-ranking official of the company to survive Titanic's tragedy. George Wick. Titanic housed some wealthy individuals, and seeing the likes of George Wick on the list attests to that fact. George was an American industrialist on board with his family because of a medical condition. He served as the founding president of the Youngstown Sheet and Tube Company, one of the nation's largest regional steel manufacturing firms at that time. Margaret Brown. Margaret was one of the few philanthropists on board. Posthumously, she is known as the unsinkable Molly Brown, and was an American socialite during her lifetime. Margaret survived the tragedy of that night and also played a vital role in rescuing other survivors. Charles Hayes. Charles began his journey to becoming a millionaire at a young age when he started working as a clerk in the railroad business. He rose through the ranks and eventually became the general manager of Wabash St. Louis and Pacific Railway. He pushed further to become the company's vice president from 1889 until 1896, when he became general manager of the Grand Trunk Railway GTR of Canada. Dorothy Gibson. Dorothy was a pioneering American silent film actress, singer, and artist model. She is famously remembered as a survivor of the sinking of the Titanic and for starring in the first motion picture based on the disaster. Isidore Straus. Another prominent person on board is Isidore Straus, owner of the Macy's department store, and his wife, Ida. Isidore was a Bavarian-born American Jewish businessman, politician, and co-owner of Macy's department store with his brother Nathan. He also served as a member of the United States House of Representatives for a few years before losing his life on the Titanic. Benjamin Guggenheim. Benjamin was an American businessman and a wealthy member of the Guggenheim family. He died aboard RMS Titanic when the ship sank in the North Atlantic Ocean, and according to reliable reports, his body was never found. Benjamin was said to be asleep when the ship hit the iceberg, and also helped the crew alongside other gentlemen to help the women and children on the lifeboats. John Thayer. John was an American businessman with over a 30-year career as an executive with the Pennsylvania Railroad Company. He was the director and second vice president of the Pennsylvania Railroad Company before his death. John also doubled as a sportsman, playing first-class cricket for the Philadelphian cricket team. He lost his life during the sinking of the ship, becoming the only first-class cricketer known to have died aboard Titanic. The Titanic twins. An honorable mention among the more than 700 second-class and third-class survivors was Michael Jr. and Edmund Navratil, popularly called the Titanic Orphans. The boys were reportedly kidnapped by their father, Michael Navratil, who died aboard, but the boys survived and were cared for by Margaret Hayes until their mother arrived to take them back to her country. Milvina, last living survivor. Another honorable mention is the popular survivor, Elizabeth Dean, also known as Milvina. Milvina was only a few months old when she and her family boarded RMS Titanic in hopes of immigrating to the United States. She and her family survived the ordeal, and she went on to become a British civil servant and a cartographer. Milvina died in 2019 as the last living survivor of the RMS Titanic. Of course, some history hurts, but nevertheless, it has to be narrated. Titanic is just one of the few incidents that depict how long social classes have been in existence. If you like this video, make sure to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this.